Hello the internet of the internet, welcome back to another J the Star video, welcome back to another One Piece video. And in this video we are going to put Luffy against all the other Yonko to see is Luffy truly a Yonko level, because the power scaling community have been looking at Luffy kind of weird because Luffy is having a little bit of problem against Kizaru. And Luffy, since now he is a Yonko, people is expecting Luffy to do a lot of great things, to be on a different level, to be a monster. He is a monster with his gear 5, with his awakened Joboy fruit, but people's expecting more out of Luffy. So we haven't put Luffy against other Yonkos to see can Luffy work. For example, Luffy facing Big Mom, Luffy facing Kaido, Shanks, Blackbeard, Whitebeard. And we are going to truly see is Luffy a Yonko level, and that's what this video is about. So please like the video and please subscribe. Let's get right into the video. Let's start off with the most glazed One Piece character of all time, that's been Red Hair Shanks. Can Luffy defeat Red Hair Rat? Can he beat the Rat Shanks? And I feel like Luffy won't beat Shanks, and here's the reason why I don't feel like Luffy in Gear 5 won't have enough power or have enough strength or have enough Haki to be able to defeat Shanks. And here's why. Shanks' Haki is number 1 in the verse. We can all agree on that. Shanks' sword skills is number 2 in the world. We can all agree that Shanks got very good fighting style. The fact that he can rival Mihawk sword skills wise, but he's not better than Mihawk because he's number 2. The fact that Shanks can rival Mihawk, and Shanks has arguably the best Haki stuff. Legit, one of Shanks' nickname is the killer of Haki, the killer of obvious and Haki. So we can assume that Shanks can cancel your Haki. Shanks can get rid of your Haki, and Shanks, in fact, that if he can get rid of your Haki with his Haki, overwhelming your Haki with his Haki, he can probably cancel and probably get rid of your Devil Fruit effect, because we've seen when Lord faced Blackbeard, Lord show us with your Haki, if you're good enough and have a strong enough Haki, you can cancel a Devil Fruit effect. So Shanks can probably cancel Luffy's Toon Force effect, because Luffy can sense the area into gum into plastic. So Shanks can probably cancel it to turn back to normal. And Shanks have Future Sight Haki, and we know Shanks got the best Future Sight Haki in the game, because Shanks could see in the future what can Kid do, and Kid was about to destroy Shanks' whole fleet, but luckily Shanks did see in the future what will happen, and Shanks, capitalize on it and one shot Kid. And we've seen in that fight, if you can even call it a fight, that Shanks his Haki is strong enough that can warn Shanks about stuff with his obvious Haki and with his future sight. We've seen Luffy cannot do that. Luffy must own himself. Luffy must turn on future sight and obvious Haki. While Shanks, it seemed like future sight just happen when something bad is going to happen, which Luffy does not have that. And speed wise, it looked like Shanks is way faster than Luffy. The fact that Shanks on his own ship very far away on the coastline of Elbaf and speed blitzing to Kid doing a one shot, with Kid was on his own boat of a long way. So the fact that Shanks could speed blitz and get to Kid's boat without anybody seeing it or realizing it says a lot about Shanks' speed, his fighting style, and his Haki. And let's talk about his Conqueror's Haki. With his Conqueror's Haki, he could tell Grimble, hey, I'm the guy here, so back off. So the fact that Shanks with his Conqueror's Haki could tell people, or to use his Conqueror's Haki to tell his emotion and put his will upon another person very, very far away. And we can tell that Shanks has advanced Conqueror's Haki, because Shanks did split the sky with Whitebeard, and Shanks did in Marineford with his aura has been there. So I feel like Luffy with his gear 5, and Luffy will goof around. Luffy will goof around. That's Luffy. Luffy will just joke around, have a fun time. While Shanks on the other hand, nah, that's not Shanks. Shanks will try to end the fight as fast as possible. That's Shanks. Shanks do not like conflict, and Shanks, his personality, he would try to end a fight in the shortest, or try not to fight even. But if it comes down to a fight, Shanks will try his best to just one shot you, end the fight as fast as possible. And Luffy won't probably see this coming, with Shanks speed blitzing Luffy, hitting with a name attack. Okay, so Luffy might, tank that attack, but I feel like Shanks won't stop from there on, and he will just abuse Luffy like a donkey in Mexico. So I feel like Shanks will just win in a high to mid the fight against Luffy. But now it's time to talk about Buggy the Clown. Buggy. Can Monkey D. Luffy beat Buggy the Clown? And the answer is absolutely not. Luffy will get destroyed by Buggy. It'll be a low dove, no dove, super low dove. This is not even close, guys. And guys, honestly, this is honestly a very stupid conversation to have. Buggy the Clown face Monkey D. Luffy. Can Luffy win? Hell nah, buddy. That's why Buggy will win this easily. This is not even a conversation. Let's just talk about Blackbeard facing Luffy, because that is more closer. Let's just talk about that. Yeah, Buggy, no dove. Luffy, no dove. Now it's time for Blackbeard face Luffy. One of the biggest rivalry that's in the current day of One Piece. The two biggest ops to each other. Luffy face Blackbeard. And honestly, from Blackbeard's last performance, is not looking good for Blackbeard. His last performance was when Blackbeard fought against Law, and the fact that Law was keeping up over Yonko, Blackbeard kind of says a lot. But to be fair though, Law could be himself. He could be a Yonko, or first commander Yonko, or admiral level. No, Law is definitely an admiral level, I feel like, because the fact that Law and Kid beat Big Mom says a lot, because Big Mom is one of the tougher Yonko, and the fact that Law could beat her. Then Law lost to Blackbeard clean, because it was a 1v1 between Blackbeard and Law. So Law did lose clean, but the fact that Law was keeping up says a lot. And Law does have one of the most broken devil fruit, but Blackbeard should have destroyed Law. Let's be honest. Blackbeard is a Yonko. Blackbeard should have done what Shanks done to Kid. Blackbeard should have just eaten Law alive with his two busted broken devil fruit. And I believe Blackbeard has all 3 types of Haki and his advanced version, and the guy got 2 freaking devil fruit, which I am expecting Blackbeard to be awakened in both of the devil fruit. So it's kind of looking sad on Blackbeard part that they kind of had a hard time defeating Law. I mean, it wasn't hard, but it took Blackbeard quite a while to put down the Trafalgar Law. But let's look at Blackbeard's other performance, like in a payback war. It sounded like Blackbeard destroyed Marco and the other Whitebeard crew. It sounded like Blackbeard won. I mean, he did win, but it sounded like Blackbeard did dominate the war, and Blackbeard won easily against Marco and the Whitebeard crew. And Whitebeard crew is a Yonko crew, and Marco is extremely strong. The fact that he could fought against Queen and King at the same time for quite a long time says a lot. It also says a lot where Marco could beat Weaver easily, and Marco the clash with Kizaru, with Akainu, with Kujon at the Marineford War arc. So Marco is not somebody where you can overlook. The fact that Blackbeard did defeat him, Marco, and the rest of the Whitebeard crew says a lot to Blackbeard's strength. But he did had a 50-50 fight against Law. But let's look at Luffy facing Blackbeard. I don't feel like in the present Blackbeard, what we have seen from Blackbeard, I'm not, giving Blackbeard the 2 awakened day fruit. I'm not giving the Blackbeard his advance with his Hakis. I'm not giving him that because we have not seen that. We are looking at present day Blackbeard, everything that he have done against present day Luffy. And by present day, I feel like Luffy won because Luffy has better feats, he's better with his devil fruit, and Blackbeard got sent flying by Ace Hawk, and the fact that Ace Hawk was sweating against Luffy, not sweating against Luffy, sweating against Zoro. Zoro was giving Ace Hawk those swords, was whooping Ace Hawk. Then later Zoro fought against Rob Lucy. So I'm saying, what we have seen, I don't feel like Blackbeard could defeat Luffy in Gear 5, because you must remember, Luffy is very strong, and Luffy does have the one-shot ability, but I do think Blackbeard is very durable, but it's Luffy, man, it's Luffy. So Luffy got speed, he got the Haki, the devil fruit, everything that you can think of. I just feel like Luffy's just better than Blackbeard in every different categories that you put them against. Maybe IQ wise you have to give it to Blackbeard, but everything else from speed, endurance, durability, strength, speed, what else, everything, Haki, devil fruit, I just feel like Blackbeard cannot really do a lot against Luffy in Gear 5, and especially the fact that Luffy is awakened, he can turn the landscape into rubble. I just don't see what can Blackbeard do against Luffy. So that's why I'm saying Luffy would defeat Blackbeard. Now here come the hot take of this video. Whitebeard face Luffy. I feel like Luffy will beat Whitebeard. And by the way, this is an older Whitebeard. This isn't Prime Whitebeard. This is Marineford Whitebeard. So this is old sick Whitebeard that we are comparing to, because we don't know how strong Prime Whitebeard is. Until we know how strong Prime Whitebeard is, then we can start talking about how strong Prime Whitebeard is against Luffy today. So Luffy face old Whitebeard. Luffy, I feel like today, and especially what we have seen from Luffy now, I feel like Luffy will eat up Whitebeard, and the reason is because we've seen that Luffy he could be like on the same level of speed wise against Kizaru. He was keeping up with Kizaru with his clones. He's seen every attack that Kizaru threw out, he could react to it, and I just feel like the speed would make old Whitebeard really struggle, because if you combine speed with power, okay, maybe not power wise, because maybe Whitebeard, he's still very strong, he is still the world's strongest man alive back then, but Whitebeard, he was throwing around giants, he was casting a lot of punches, and he did almost one shot like Inu, he one shot a giant. So maybe power wise you might be giving that to old Whitebeard, and maybe durability, but when it comes to speed and Haki, because Whitebeard cannot use Haki anymore, the only Haki he used was Almond Haki, one of the easiest Haki. He did not use Ryu, he did not use Obviously Haki Advanced, Obviously Haki Fusite, he did not use Conqueror's Haki, he could not use Conqueror's Haki, and the only time we seen Whitebeard use Advanced Conqueror's Haki was against Shanks on the boat, but ever since from there on, we did not see Whitebeard using Advanced Conqueror's Haki. So I feel like Haki wise, devil fruit wise, I think Luffy just have it over Whitebeard, and speed, Haki, even devil fruit, I feel like Whitebeard, he is awakened, but he's so old, he can't use his awakened abilities, and I feel like all of that considered, I feel like Luffy will defeat Whitebeard, and I feel like there's nothing in old Whitebeard arsenal that can make Luffy get trouble, and maybe better IQ wise, but not even that could save Whitebeard from this beating that he might get from Luffy, because if you look at it, Luffy got a lot of things over Whitebeard. He got durability, endurance, speed wise, and Plus, the death foot is broken. I don't feel like Whitebeard can think on the spot what can he do. Even though he's a very smart fighter, with Whitebeard current day, arsenal moveset, I don't feel like there's nothing in Whitebeard's bag that could give Luffy problems. So that's why I'm saying Luffy would defeat old Whitebeard in a loader fight. And that's going to be the hot take of this video. Now it's time for Big Mama. So can Big Mama put down the new Emperor of the Sea, Luffy? The answer is no. I feel like Big Mom could not defeat Luffy, and basically the same reason, because I feel like the most hard thing for Luffy to do is to make Big Mom bleed, is to make Big Mom hurt. I think that's gonna be the hardest thing for Luffy that he must do, because what Brooks say, quote from one of the greatest bone men alive, Brooks say her skin is like an iron balloon, and I feel like it'll be very hard for Luffy to hurt Big Mom, let's just say like that. And even with advanced Conqueror's Haki, I feel like it could still be extremely hard for Luffy to do that. But if Luffy can hurt Kaido, I think there is a chance for Luffy to have enough power to hurt Big Mom. If Law could hurt Big Mom, Luffy could hurt Big Mom. Let's just say like that. If Kid can hurt Big Mom, Luffy can hurt Big Mom for sure. And the thing that could be, will be hard for Luffy would be Big Mom's awaken. She can heal herself, and that's gonna be the problem. Big Mom can heal herself with her awaken, and she is an awaken Deathfoot user. And I feel like this fight against Big Mom would be more harder than a fight against a Blackbeard, against a Blackbeard and a Whitebeard. Sorry, I misspoke there. I feel like it will be harder for Luffy to defeat Big Mom, and it might take more longer too. And the thing is that Big Mom have to do is wait for Luffy to run out of his gear 5. Then I think that's gonna be the best time for Big Mom to really do anything to Luffy in the moment. And the question is, can Big Mom outlast gear 5? That's also a good question to ask yourself, because if Luffy run out of gear 5 to 10 minutes in gear 5, then he cannot use Haki, it look like, for a minute or two to regain back his Haki and his stamina and everything. And Luffy's big problem is his stamina. So can Big Mom lose that fight, and can Luffy really hurt Big Mom to knock her out during the 5 to 10 minutes? And that's the question, because Big Mom's very durable and Luffy got weak stamina, and that's going to be the story of this fight. But I do feel like Big Mom would not be able to really do a lot of damage on Luffy, because he won't have enough speed or reaction speed to catch Luffy off guard, because we did not see Big Mom using Fuside Haki. We only seen Big Mom with Haki, definitely real Haki, and obviously Haki, and advanced Conqueror's Haki and Conqueror's Haki, because she did split the sky against Whitebeard, against Kaido, sorry. So yeah, so can Big Mom catch Luffy? I say yes, but I don't feel like Big Mom would catch Luffy for the big and massive attack that would really send Luffy backwards. So I feel like Luffy can defeat Big Mom if Luffy just tries like his best to not get hit and just to do as much damage as possible. I feel like Luffy could beat Big Mom. And yes, Luffy can beat Big Mom, because if Lon Kid can beat Big Mom, Luffy can beat Big Mom. It will be a mid to high tough, as it seems on mind, it will be a high tough fight for Luffy to beat Big Mom. So to beat Big Mom will be high tough for Luffy, just saying. So yeah, that's Big Mom's side, and rest in peace to Big Mom. And as if they said, we never got to see that Big Mom and Luffy fight that order. Kind of have been teasing it, but hey, we know for a fact Luffy can beat Big Mom. So that's Big Mom. Now it's time to go to the main event of the evening, the rematch of the century, Kaido face Luffy. Now it's time for actually the main event, for the big conversation, for the big hot take of this video is Kaido face Luffy. And you guys might be saying, oh, we already seen this, because Luffy did defeat Kaido at the one arc, yay. But listen up, to the people, listen up. Why are we still talking about the Kaido and the Luffy conversation if Luffy already beat Kaido at Elbow? Because when a year ago on April the 27th, I did make a video. Luffy faced Kaido, who would win in a death battle, right? And somebody in my comments say, my guy, this is done. And by the way, this guy looked like a freak. And person say, right, so maybe just get this out of the way. The reason why people still talking about this conversation is because if you remember, a lot of different things happened at the rooftop. Kaido was carrying an island, he's carrying an island with his cloud. What other thing happened? Kaido got jumped by the samurais, right? He got jumped by the samurais and he defeated the samurais. Then what happened after that? He still got jumped. From who did he got jumped from? He got jumped by Zoro, Luffy, Kid, Killer, and Kate. He got jumped by two different groups and he defeated two different groups. Even though he had Big Mom with the, with Luffy in that group. Even though he had Big Mom, Kaido still got jumped. What happened after that? Luffy to run the 1v1 on Kaido. What happened? Kaido to defeat Luffy by embarrassing Luffy and showing Luffy the different levels. What happened from there on? Yamato the jumping and Yamato start fighting Kaido. Kaido did defeat Yamato. What happened from there on? Luffy to fight Kaido one-on-one, running back his fade, running back the comeback. And what happened? Kaido to put down Luffy in the ground. Then Luffy got his awakened Joy Boy. So if you listen to all of that, he was carrying an island with his crowd the whole time, fighting the two different groups, fighting Luffy twice, fighting Yamato. He was carrying an island. So, Kaido was, even though it did not look like Kaido was heavily damaged, he was injured, he was tired. My boy Kaido, he was tired. He was fighting everybody. So Kaido, Haki-wise, his Haki have to be more low. His tank has to be more loyal. His durability was lower because he went through a war. He's going through a war. He's fighting against people left, right, and center. And Luffy just got awakened. Joe Boy, he just got awakened. He got boosted. And remember, Luffy got breaks. Between the different fights, Luffy was taking breaks between the murder. Kaido, my boy Kaido was not taking any break. Kaido was jumping. Kaido was fighting from the start to the end. So you have to, from that point of view, you have to see how strong Kaido was really is and how strong he is. And the fact that he was fighting all of those different people in one day without no breaks. So if you take Kaido at full strength face Luffy at full strength, I feel like Kaido would still win. Kaido would still beat Luffy today, even though that Luffy got a lot of different power up, even though he got a lot of different boosts, even though we see that Luffy can defeat Kizaru, we see Luffy can defeat Saint Saturn and all the Joy Boy stuff. I still think Kaido would still win because that fight was really uneven on Kaido's side. And even the fact that during when Luffy went into Joy Boy, when Luffy awakened, the Kaido and Luffy fight was still 50-50. Kaido was still holding his ground. He was still boxing. He was still keeping up with Luffy, even though Kaido was really damaged and really tired. The fact that the fight was still on equal playing field says a lot about Kaido, and we need to respect Kaido and his strength. And I feel like Luffy will still not be able to defeat Kaido today. Kaido would still beat Luffy in a high-depth fight. Don't get me wrong. In a high-depth fight, extreme high-depth, Kaido would still win. So Luffy will lose to Shanks, to Kaido, and 100% he would lose to Buggy. But to the other Yonko that he would have beaten would be Old Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Blackbeard. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the video. And yes, Luffy is a Yonko level, and in all the Yonkos we have seen so far and we have heard and we know so far, Luffy is in the murder as the strongest Yonko that we have seen so far. So Luffy is a Yonko level. Let's respect Luffy. And yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's the end of the video. Please like the video and please subscribe.